Hello there, mortals. I'm Riri, and today I will be bringing you a new content on this channel called streamdiaRY, or as I like to call it, streamdiaRY. Did you catch the pun? In these videos, I will be sharing my experiences playing games during my Twitch streams, all packed into a shorter format. Although, let's be real, it's still gonna be more than an hour long, I think, as well as giving you all the highlights and my personal take on the games I've been playing. And today, I'm super excited to kick off this series with my recent stream of Whisker Waters. Now, what exactly is Whisker Waters? Well, according to their Steam store description, it's a game that invites us to step into the paws of a cat and embark on a fantastic fishing adventure to become fish rangers. And yes, you heard it right, fish rangers. Personally, if you ask me, the name reminds me of Power Rangers, but with more whiskers and, well, fewer spandex suits. I hope. And let me tell you, I'm totally here for it. I mean, come on, who wouldn't love a Power Rangers parody? You don't? Get out. Before we dive into the game itself, I want to extend a huge thank you to Merge Games and Maximum Entertainment for the opportunity to cover this game. And of course, a huge shout out as well to Underbite Games for developing Whisker Waters. Their passion for cats truly shines through in every aspect of this game, and I'm incredibly grateful for the chance to experience it myself. And if you were not convinced that Underbite Games has gone all out to pack this game with fantastic features, well, you better stick around and keep watching this video. Trust me, you are in for a lot of fun. Before we start though, a quick word of caution, this streamdiaRY does contain spoilers. So if you are not ready for that, please proceed at your own risk. Got it? Alright then, if everyone's ready, let's make yourself comfortable, cozy, and I hope that this streamdiaRY will make you happy. Let's go! I love that meow. It sounds very excited. Just like me, when I first booted up the game and was greeted by this character customization screen. Wait, no. It's not character, it's cat. Cat customization screen. Yes, I'm sorry. In this screen, you've got the freedom to sculpt your very own furball to resemble any cat that you want. Your own cat, your ex's cat, or even that catfish from your questionable Tinder date that you regret swiping right on. And hey, if you have ever wondered what you would look like as a cat before, now's your chance to find out as well in this game. That's why, next up, we will be taking a look at the customization features that they have. If you are asking me, the customization options Whisker Waters has, in my opinion, are as plentiful as cat memes on the internet, and they are impressively detailed. Unfortunately, to be able to customize properly in this game, you might need to have a good understanding of cat genetics, which, mind you, I am as qualified in that field as I am to land an ace on Valorant, so that resulted in me having a hard time understanding the terms that they have in this screen. Take breed strength, for example. Breed strength? More like brain strain for me, because I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what all the sliders they have actually does. Like, does it determine how regal your cat looks, or does it just turn those ears up to 11? Frankly, I am as confused as a dog being brought to a cat cafe. You can imagine the confusion, right? However, I do appreciate that Underbite Games has done a really great job with adding pictures alongside the slider to help players understand what they are customizing right now. It's really helpful, although I feel that having a written explanation as an accompaniment to the picture and the slider would definitely work wonders. And save us from having to take a crash course in veterinary just to be able to make a character in this game. Or a cat, yes. But let's pause for a moment and appreciate the sheer variety of cat patterns that Whisker Waters has, okay? Mind you, I don't exactly have that much knowledge about cats, so to be able to recite this, I have Google's help for that. But I'm pretty sure that the patterns that Whisker Waters provided to us are all based on real cat patterns, like American short hair, British short hair, my hair getting short trying to learn all these cat breeds and patterns. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked a little bit, shall we? Personally, though, I for one am all whiskers for the idea of expanding our color palette in this game. Although, coloring our viewer would take out the sense of reality that these cats have, I guess, since all the patterns that Whisker Waters provided to us are all based on real cat breeds. And being able to color it in different color, especially pink in my case, would definitely make our cat become an anime cat instead of a real cat. Once you are done with perfecting your personalized cat, and yes, I'm on a roll with all these cat puns, it's time to jump into the real anime adventure. Be prepared to see the epic origin story of the Fish Rangers, narrated by none other than the Ranger of voiceover himself, Elder Pepper Titbit. Wait, you are asking me who is he? Don't worry, we will be introduced to him later on. For now though, enjoy this cutscene.
Long ago, there were adventurers known as Fish Rangers, who used rod and reel as their primary tool. These rangers were great providers, teachers, protectors, travelers, and the land prospered. But then, a great disturbance happened, and with it brought a terrible plague. The rangers rallied to the source and halted the spread. Unsure if the danger was fully past, the rangers remained on guard and faded away into legend.
Okay, stop right there. Now, let me introduce you to our resident bedtime story aficionado, Elder Pepper Titbit. Right now, he's faced with a dilemma that every first-time parent knows all too well. How to tame your child or grandchild or well, whoever we are to him, and send them off to La La Land. But alas, his efforts fall flat, so he resorts to a carrot and stick approach, promising us a fishing trip tomorrow morning. And let me tell you, just like how you will turn into the nicest person ever if someone promises you an iPhone 15, that promise managed to lull us into slumber. Fast forward, and unlike the typical parental empty promises we have all endured as 4 years old, Elder Pepper Titbit is a man of his word. So here we are, aboard the boat headed to what I presume will be our tutorial area. Now, if my hunch is correct, and trust me, it usually is, then I kindly ask you to smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to help support the channel. As we reach the center of the lake, I realized something that left me utterly puzzled. You see, when I first saw how my cat looks in the customization screen, I had envisioned my cat to be as big as Elder Pepper Titbit himself. Not pin size like a titbit. And yes, I may or may not have a slight obsession with the way Elder Pepper Titbit rolls off the tongue, so get ready to hear me drop that name at every chance I get. Also, mind your step please, especially here on the boat. It's not slippery at all, no, I can assure you that. But make one false move and you could end up taking an unplanned dip in the lake. How do I know? Well, let's just say I have had first-hand experience with underwater exploration myself. Yeah, you're welcome by the way. Without my helpful demonstration, you wouldn't have known that you can drown in this game. Anyway, as we delve further into the tutorial, we get a taste of some of the early game features, like mastering the map, rummaging through our inventory, and well, a book. But let me tell you, unlike your dustikins that are probably gathering dust on your shelf right now, you are going to be flipping through this book all the time. It's chock full of info, from having a list of quests to your very own fish encyclopedia, achievements, and more. To be honest, initially, I did not anticipate that the book would hold much importance. But well, what do I know? Apparently, when I'm stuck and there is no one else to turn for help, this book comes sweeping into the rescue like a trusty sidekick. But now, it's time to get into the real fun. Fishing! And I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill fishing trip. No. We're talking about the full experience here. At first, it will be your typical fishing mechanics that you can find in a lot of other games. Cast your line, reel them in. But here is where things get exciting, and brace yourself because this is my absolute favorite part. They have spiced up the fishing mode with something extra. A Dance Dance Revolution showdown with fish. And trust me, it's a blast. A quick heads up though, since I'm playing with a controller, the experience might not be the same for those of you using a mouse and keyboard, so please take note of that. And if you are skeptical about whether or not I'm bluffing, let me assure you it's truly Dance Dance Revolution time. Or if you are more into classic gaming references, think back to entering cheat codes in GTA San Andreas or The Sims with that classic up down left right movement. Sound familiar? If you are nodding your head right now, then that means we definitely are going to fight together, so why not come and join our Discord community? We are all about gaming discussions and sharing our love for games together. Or, better yet, join me on Twitch for some live chatting and behind the scenes fun. Looking forward to have you there! Now, you might be scratching your head wondering why on earth we need to bust out those deadly secret moves, right? Well, hold on to your whiskers because I have got the scope for you. Those moves? They are the key to winning over those fiend creatures. You know how in some farming games, each heart color that your future virtual partner has signifies a different level of affection? Well, in Whisker Waters, it's all about winning our future catch so that we can have them. For dinner, or quests, or whatever you want to do with your fish. As for the meaning of the color itself, the color goes from yellow to orange to red, and finally to purple, with purple being the jackpot. That is when the fish takes the bait and then we can reel them in. And speaking of colors, ever notice how if we swap out orange for green, that would give us a Teletubbies color scheme? After our pulse-pounding battles of cat versus fish, though not quite as intense as the Plant vs. Zombies franchise, I managed to reel in a boldfish and an eelgill. Enough to satisfy Elder Pepper Titbit and prompt him to steer the boat back to shore. Ah, land at last! It's funny how after just an hour of gameplay, I find myself harboring a grudge against the water. Am I slowly morphing into a cat? Back on solid ground, I find myself a bit perplexed by the situation. Why? Well, if you take a look at my cat, you will see that my cat seems to have had a growth spurt, as I now stand eye to eye with Elder Pepper Titbit. It's a bit puzzling. Is this a glitch or a deliberate narrative choice? I can't quite tell. And it feels like we have skipped ahead in time. Or maybe this is just a nostalgic detour down memory lane, recalling our earlier fishing lessons with Elder Pepper Titbit. Whatever the case, there is definitely a gap between the tutorial and where we are now. And honestly, I find it hard to believe that a cat could grow that much during a simple loading screen, don't you think? Setting aside the sudden growth spurt confusion, the next text at hand is a bit comical. Elder Pepper Titbit calls out to us, asking us to fetch a lock that conveniently lay between us. Yes, you heard me right. between us. Yet, did Elder Pepper Titbit make any effort to move his lazy elderly cat self and grab it? No, absolutely not. Well, my inner cat instincts are screaming for exploration, not log lifting duty with a distance so short you can just kick the wood towards him and actually be done with it. But staying true to my rebellious nature, I decided to take a leisurely stroll around the area before reluctantly picking up the lock and handing it over to Elder Pepper Titbit. But perhaps I shouldn't have given in to his request because now Elder Pepper Titbit is trotting around like he owns the place. Well, technically he does, asking for 3 fruits and 3 fish. And why the extra serving? Well, because he plans to share the food with Miss May. Miss Maybe she lives nearby because the moment I step my paws outside, she's nowhere to be seen. Instead, there is this adorable little black cat named Sprout who seems to have appeared out of thin air. Seriously, it's like he just sprouted up right in front of me. And chatting with Sprout triggers a side quest where he asks us to fetch him 3 big beetles. I guess we know his favorite band now, huh? Yup, it's the Beatles. Did you catch the pun there? Because if not, let me tell you, you are losing to Google Docs. It even auto-corrected my pun to the name of the actual band, and I laughed so hard when I saw it. Anyway, I almost mistakenly assumed that the big Beatles Sprout wanted were actually those 3 hefty creatures that are casually lounging nearby. I was this close to tossing Sprout in their direction because if he wants some big beetles, I'm not about to be the one getting gobbled up. However, after cautiously tiptoeing around them and crossing my fingers they wouldn't pull off some jump scare, I can confirm they're actually quite docile and pose no threat to us. For now, at least. But one thing that is no longer up for debate is our dear Miss May, whose residence may or may not be near ours, but she's definitely on the fast track to becoming Elder Members May, aka my new cat's hot sizzling grandma, or maybe mom? Or even partner, I suppose. We have a little chit-chat, cat to cat, but I'm afraid that we have to cut this short given that we have bugs to catch. Exploring the area a bit more, it appears we can gather fruits by picking up apples scattered on the ground. But here's the catch. It's a bit of a gamble as some of these apples might harbor a sneaky worm inside. And if you happen to grab one of those wormy apples, well, congratulations! You have just earned yourself a worm bait instead of the fruit you were hoping for. As for bugs, you can try giving those nearby bushes a good swipe with your claws and see if you can catch some bugs in the process. Or, if you are feeling particularly adventurous, you can really get down and dirty. And I mean really down and dirty, like this. Such a meow-adorable animation. Oh my god, I need to tone down on the cat pun, aren't I? After engaging in a few more down and dirty activities that practically guaranteed we would end up meeting the water in Whisker Waters in a bath, we stumbled upon a little cat playing by the lake. Approaching him, you can't help but notice he's not alone in his lakeside playtime. Well, technically he is, but he is accompanied by wealth. I mean, just check out the boat he's got. The B in boat must stand for billions and T for Tesla because here we are introduced to none other than Elon Muddles. Nice to meet you, Muddles. Our conversation with Muddles have him thanking us for bringing back his boat. A rather odd dialogue considering I don't even have a boat with me, and I would prefer to take his boat instead of giving him one. Nevertheless, I graciously accepted his thanks because that's what great people, cats do. Since he did not offer us anything, not a Tesla or even his boat, I left him to his own devices to find an activity that would actually reward us with something. Like fishing, for instance. This time, we are introduced to another fishing minigame called Overpower, aka smash your button or get smashed by fish. This happens to be one of my favorite minigames in Whisker Waters, and yes, I'm hinting that there will be more to come. And more fruits to find because it turns out we only managed to snack ourselves 2 apples and we are still missing 1 more. After reeling in what I can only describe as a parody of the fish my friend Nemo likes to eat, a stratilapia, we resume our search for more apples scattered on the ground. Only to unexpectedly bump into this cat with a cart parked by the roadside. Love the stylish hat, by the way. It pairs perfectly with the cat's name, which pretty much sums up what this cat's all about and why it's chilling here. I mean, just look at its name, Outfitter's Cat. The Outfitter's Cat, true to its name, is offering us what I like to call the magnificent 3 Fs. Fashion for free. Fantastic! Granted, the outfit selection at the moment is a bit limited, but Outfitter's Cat assures us to keep an eye out for him in other locations where he will have even more goodies for us to try. So, I guess, as we delve deeper into the game, his humble cart will undergo a transformation into a full-fledged H&M store. Looking forward to that! Also, now that I have been playing this game for about an hour, I think it's safe to mention one thing that I believe could be improved with Whisker Waters. As someone who struggles with motion sickness and can barely endure watching my friend play Apex Legends for more than 30 minutes, I have noticed that the camera movement in this game resembles that of Apex Legends. And mind you, this isn't a battle royale game. No, it's just us ducking it out with the fish using our bait. When an Apex Legends player experiences a sudden shift in their display, it's usually because they are rotating their mouse to look at their surroundings. However, in this scenario, it feels as if our cat caught sight of a mouse scurrying by and took it upon itself to maneuver the camera to chase after said mouse. So yes, it's a bit wonky for me and a little dangerous for my motion sickness. And to prevent Elder Pepper Tidbit from getting sick of waiting for us, let's head back and hand over the fruits and fish. But shh, let's keep it our little secret that the fruits we collected come with an extra topping of bacteria and dirt, as we couldn't quite reach the ones still hanging from the trees and have to settle for the ones that have already fallen to the ground. Believe me, I gave it my best shot. I tried to grab the ones still hanging from the tree, but my cat's just too short to reach them. Luckily, Elder Pepper Tidbit does not seem to notice the potential disaster or diarrhea we have brought back with us, or he's choosing to ignore it altogether and gets to cooking. Can you smell that? That's the scent of a brand new quest. However, this new quest did not exactly send me into a frenzy, as it simply involved delivering Elder Pepper Tidbit's lovey-dovey bento box to our dear Miss May. Yet, not before I make my own delivery of lovey-dovey big beetles to Sprout. Apparently, the big beetles he is after are those green bugs that have been scurrying around the area, so completing this side quest is actually a breeze. Just tell your cat to get down and act like you are being featured in Call of Duty, not Cat with Duty game. Now, for the discovery of a lifetime. Engaging in a conversation with Miss May this time revealed a new dialogue, and hold my whiskers, I was utterly shocked. She was super appreciative of us bringing the food, like, seriously Miss May, it was nothing, you are very much welcome. Then, she hit us with a surprise by asking if we can track down models for her. Now, call me a detective in training or maybe a conspiracy theorist at heart, but during the stream, I was under the impression that models might be just her kid. So, when she tasked me with finding and delivering the message to models to go home, I felt the urge to tell him to go to, but away, because let's face it, I secretly wanted to trot places with models. But now, reflecting on the conversation and her exact words to me, it seems models might not be her son, but rather her little brother, which still makes me want to urge models to not go home. Of course, I did not actually go through with it. I dutifully went back to models and relayed Miss May's message. The little rascal refused to come home with me though, so I left him there by the beach with his boat. I made my way back to Miss May and she was all grateful, as expected. She even handed me a net she had patched up, sweet gesture, But my heart could use some fixing too, you know, Miss May? Anyway, since the net belongs to Elder Pepper Titbit, we returned home to give it to him. As soon as we handed him the net, Elder Pepper Titbit kindly advised us to relax, considering it had been quite a tiring day for us. Quite a contradiction coming from the one who made us do all those errands, isn't it? Then again, I should have known that when an elderly person tells you to rest, it's actually a sign that they want to have a deep consultation session about your career path. And it just so happens that my cat is keen on becoming a fish ranger. To be honest, I had braced myself to get kicked out from the house after mentioning that I want to become a fish ranger. But fortunately, Elder Pepper Titbit is no strict Asian parent or grandparent in this case. In fact, he is quite supportive of our aspiration to become this world version of the Avengers. He filled us in on how we could gather more intel about the fish rangers in Fisherfolk Bay. But before we trot off on our merry way, he's gonna school us a bit more on the fine art of fishing. And of course, I'm not going to deny such a delicious offer, right? So, here we are, right by the big old lake, chilling with Elder Pepper Titbit as he fills us in on more of the sweet charm that Whisker Waters has. We are introduced to the scare feature, a skill that when used reduces the attraction progress of nearby fish. It is a pretty handy feature to have in my opinion, as it brings the much needed balance to our fishing time. I mean, let's face it, sometimes we cast our line hoping for fish the size of a buffet, but end up with a little one that's more like an appetizer. And let's be honest, between us and the fish, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be us walking away with tonight's dinner already planned, not the other way around. At least with this care feature, we're giving those tiny fish a chance to grow into something worth frying up. Aside from that, we're also introduced to one more of the fishing minigames, Tangled. Now, despite the name conjuring up images of a Disney flick, let's not get our hopes up for a sing-along session, okay? We're not fishing for harmonies here, we're fishing for fish. So, in this minigame, we've got to keep our fishing line from getting tangled up in all of those underwater plants. You just move the joystick up and down or left and right to do it. Again, if you are not using a controller, the experience might be a bit different, so I can't really tell you how it works for mouse and keyboard users. But basically, it's like channeling your inner Taylor Swift and shaking it off, but don't get too wild or you might end up saying goodbye to your controller. Once we are done with that, Elder Pepper Titbit goes back into boss mode and asks us to catch something called a marlin for him. Now you might be wondering what in the marlin's bird is that? Well, isn't that the perfect excuse to crack open our Fishpedia? And no, that's not some fancy official term. I just mashed together fish and encyclopedia because it sounded cooler than fish book, right? And apparently, this book has much more knowledge than the mirror Evil Queen in Snow White has because it has a picture of what a marlin looks like. There it is, our target. Now, just by looking at this marlin picture, you would think spotting it would be a breeze. Blue, green, and yellow, small, with a shape that should make it stick out, right? Well, guess what? I thought the same thing. But oh boy, was I wrong. Very wrong. Trying to find a marlin actually kicks off a whole new arc titled Marlin and How to Find Them because, believe it or not, it took me almost an hour and 8-season contract with HBO to track down its location. Why, you ask? Well, let me tell you what happened. After being told to go fish a marlin, along with a handy guide on what bait they are attracted to, and a warning about the dreaded root cruncher, I thought my best bet was to try my luck across a small bridge nearby. Also, it's like this game forgets that even though we're playing as a cat, in reality we are still human. Or, in my case, a vampire. So, navigating without a proper pointer? Yeah, not exactly a catwalk in the park for me. We're not like real cats who always know how to find their way back home after wandering off for 2 or 3 days. No. In reality, after they have got us worried sick enough about them, they would come back, meow cutely, and get served with tons of whiskas. In here, though, no matter how much I desperately meow and beg to be whisked away to where Merlin is, I still can't magically find my way there. On the bright side, crossing the bridge does introduce me to a new chunky orange cat that almost makes me feel we are blood related. It's like seeing a long-lost cousin. Not only that, but we also passed by several ominous signs that Underbite Games has kindly put up to warn us about the impending danger, instead of just unleashing deadly monsters on our path and turning this game into a Souls-like ordeal. Seriously, just from the sheer number of signs, you can tell it's about to get real dangerous up ahead. But that kindness from Underbite Games only extends so far because they are not holding back at all when it comes to how the root cruncher looks. I mean, when other Pepper Tidbit warned me about root cruncher, I imagine a creature munching and crunching on roots. Not this abomination that seems to have a taste for crunching my little meow meow instead. And to make matters worse, there are a lot of them. Being the scaredy cat that I am, though, which, mind you, is a 100% truth now that I'm a cat, I'm more than happy to steer clear of the perimeter and continue on my Merlin search. And what do you know? After getting acquainted with our fellow orange chunky cat, Curious Bob, he hits me with this revelation. There is a rare fish that can only be found in this area. Well, slap me with a fishtail and call me sushi because like a fish destined for the frying pan, I willingly take the bait he throws my way. I started fishing in the pond beside him, and let me tell you, it's like trying to pick out a particular fish in a sea of lookalikes. Either my brain decided to take a nap during the stream, or these fish are auditioning for the next Mission Impossible movie with their sneaky disguise. It's really hard to tell if it's a trout or a tuna until they bring up the minigame screen, giving you a closer look at the fish you are battling in a tug-of-war match. In my case, it happens with a foam fish. I mistakenly think that a foam fish has the looks of a Merlin, but it's not until the minigame appears that I realize it's a whole different fish. I can't help but burst out laughing at my own folly, to be honest. But I'm not a quitter, so once the bait's been bitten, there is no turning back. After that, I have to endure a slew of wrong target captures that would probably make the FBI reconsider my application if they ever saw my capture history. Am I applying for the FBI? Of course not! The FBI can rest easy knowing they won't have one incompetent member who, when told to capture a man, ends up trying to nab every man she sees strolling around the area. And if you were wondering if that's how my search of Merlin goes, then yes, it is. The silver lining to my series of wrong fish catches is stumbling across two more of the fishing minigames that Whisker Waters has to offer. The first one is Whirlpool, a timing minigame where you have to hit the button at just the right moment. And then there is Stuck, which lives up to its name by leaving me utterly bewildered as I try to wrap my head around its mechanic. So if you were a fellow Whisker Waters player and you have cracked the code on how to conquer the Stuck minigame, drop a comment down below and lend a helping paw to your fellow anglers. Me. Help me. However, with every problem that arises, there is always a solution waiting to be found, right? After making the rounds to every possible fishing spot in the area and mistakenly catching fish left and right, I finally decided to head back to Curious Bob to pour my heart out to him, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he will have a change of dialogue. I'm not aiming for the heart, I'm aiming for the dialogue. And drop me another hint about the Merlin's location. He doesn't have a change of dialogue, sadly, but I don't have time to wallow in sadness because I noticed something swimming behind him. And you know what that is? That is the Merlin! Turns out, I was casting my line in the wrong neck of the pond. Right behind Curious Pop, there is a section of the pond shrouded in fog, and I mistakenly assumed I couldn't access it, let alone fish there. Well, I guess don't judge a pond by its fog because apparently that's where our prime target Marlin is. Chilling, swimming happily, as if it hasn't just put my eyesight through the 5 stages of grief. Spoiler alert, the grief continues though as I realize I have wasted all my greenbacks trying to snack those fake Marlins. So, off I go in search of more greenbacks. And let me tell you, when I say search, I mean I'm turning every rock and peering into every nook and cranny of the area. Inside the bushes, around the apple trees, by the beach, I even attempted to infiltrate Miss May's house. No luck there though. And what do I find? Absolutely nothing. Not a single greenback in sight. Did they go extinct already? Since I'm not too sure about the spawn time for the bugs in Whisker Waters, I was at loss for quite a moment. I tried to circle around the area multiple more times and still found no greenbacks whatsoever. If there is anything green here, it would probably be my cat's face as she realizes she's in for an eternal quest in search of greenbacks. Yet, it seems the goddess of luck must be smiling down upon me because as I stroll past all those warning signs Underbite Games has plastered in front of the root cruncher area, I spy one lone greenback. There it is, probably the last of its kind, crawling along the ground inside that very area. Oh no. To be honest, I got tempted. Really tempted. So, after making sure those root crunchers are far away from the bug, I sprint in, full speed, and snatch my precious greenback. But just as I thought I was in the clear, another root cruncher emerged from the bushes. It lunges toward my cat, and with those ASMR crunching sound, it bites her into the afterlife. Well, I guess I was wrong all along. It's not the goddess of luck smiling down on me, it's the god of death. After respawning, I quickly scanned my surroundings, but it seems there is no real punishment for biting the dust in Whisker Waters. No inventory loss, I still have all my catches and that precious buck worthy of my life that I just snapped. Literally, by the way. And since there are no visible levels or status points to worry about, there is no loss in that department either. I'm as good as new. Physically, of course. But emotionally? We will cry in emotional damage later. Right now though, we've got a Marlin to catch. Capturing Marlin turns out to be a walk in the park, or should I say a leisurely stroll along the pond. Honestly, it's almost too easy. I'm starting to suspect that the real Marlin is not the fish itself, but the challenges we face along the way. Not this sneaky blue-green yellow fish that likes to lurk under the fog, tackling evilly as unsuspecting players pass by, thinking there is nothing lurking beneath the mist. The only lurking I will accept is if you come to join me in my stream. So if you've got a Twitch account and are looking for a cozy place to lurk, I'm more than ready to welcome you in. But for now, let's give a warm welcome to Marlin into our list of catches and bring it back to Other Pepper Tidbit, who, unsurprisingly, has more quests lined up for us. But we are nothing but prepared. Fetch him the notes on Stratilapia? Piece of cake. Fishing for a Stratilapia? No problemo, I have got one Stratilapia already reeled in, ready to give Other Pepper Tidbit a friendly fin slap if he needs it. Well, it turns out catching the wrong fish here and there is useful. After completing Other Pepper Tidbit's laundry list of tasks, he finally seems somewhat satisfied, enough to casually mention that he's got a boat we can use. However, before we can even think about setting sail, we have to fix the boat first. Huh? Wait, no, scratch that. That's not a boat in need of repair, that's a full-on shipwreck. Look, Look, there are so many things that need fixing that I think I would prefer to just hitch a ride on Muddle's boat instead. But hold your seafaring dreams, mortals, because apparently, before we can even think about setting sail on our patch-up Titanic, if it's ever getting patched up, Elder Pepper Titbit insists we make a pit stop at Hairball Heaven, a town with a name as cute as its residents apparently, to gear up for the more crunchy journey ahead. And of course, he throws in a little extra challenge by telling us to go chat with Mayor Roy. Because why make things easy when you can add a little extra spice to the mix, right? Anyway, curiosity may have supposedly killed the cat, but right now, I'm one curious and chaos-loving Velin eager to explore more of what Whisker Waters has to offer. So, without further ado, I set off for Hairball Heaven. As soon as I arrive, I am greeted by Fisher Gigi, who apparently just lost her notes thanks to her getting jump scared by those pesky root crunchers. If only she knew that I have had more than my fair share of run-ins with these toothy troublemakers. I mean, I have practically been reincarnated by one of them, right? After chatting with Fisher Gigi, it turns out she is offering a side quest for us to collect her lost note. But let's be real here. Trying to take on root crunchers when we are still weaponless, and the memory of their pointy teeth nipping at my head is still fresh in my mind. Yeah, let's file that under things to do later, shall we? I don't want to come knocking on Dad's door again too fast. For now, I will opt for a leisurely stroll around this cozy little town and see what else Hairball Heaven has to offer. First, we will take a look at the map. Opening the map, I am quite taken aback by what I see. For what I assume would be a cozy, safe, and secure little town, Hairball Heaven is actually teeming with danger. So many root crunchers and other hazards that I hadn't even known about lurking in every corner of the map. But since they are mostly confined to the outskirts of town, I'm free to explore this felon-filled heaven to my heart's content. I just have to watch my little paw steps or risk getting crunched as a welcome greeting. Continuing on our tour around Hairball Heaven, while I was busy exploring and admiring the abundance of cats in this place, I couldn't help but notice a glowing light emanating from one of the ponds surrounding Hairball Heaven. Now, for those of you who aren't in the know, you can actually use your fishing rod to pick up items or anything that isn't a fish, but you have to switch the fishing rod mode. With that in mind, I cast my line and reel in the item, only to discover that it's a bracelet. Wait, it's a bracelet. Can we sell it? Or that's what goes on through my mind the first time I saw the bracelet. Unfortunately, when I go to my inventory to check the bracelet out, it is tagged as a key item, not a key to wealth and fortune. Talk about a letdown. At least that's what I would call a nice catch. As I continue forth in my wandering, I'm introduced to the various merchants available in Hairball Heaven. First up, we have Trader Alvin, who's more than happy to trade a few scales, the currency in this game, for items we have gathered along the way. Then, there is Fish Trader Lucifer, which I assume is a clever play on Lucifer's name, where we can go to sell the fish we have caught and experience what it's like to strike a deal with the devil, but in a much more cat-friendly way. Also, I think this is the perfect time to mention that I once saw Merge Games post on Twitter X about how some of the cats' names in Whisker Waters are actually named after the developers' real cats. Can you guess which ones? And if you have a cat, would you want their name featured in Whisker Waters? Drop a comment down below with your answer and your cat's name, and let's see if it's already part of our cat adventure or if we need to add it to the list of our felon friends as we journey onward to become fish rangers. Back to the topic of various merchants, it's important to note that you can only sell specific kinds of items at certain merchants. Trader Alvin, for example, is only interested in items you gather from the wild. Try selling him a fish and you might as well be trying to sell sand in a desert. You won't get any scales for it. And then there's Lucifer. While she's more than happy to give your fish a fair price, try bringing her an apple and she will look at you like you are offering her a rotten sardine. No scales for you. So remember to choose your merchant wisely. It's a tough world out there, even in the world of felon commerce. Further down the list of merchants in Herbal Heaven, we stumble upon George the Equipment Cat. Now, with a name like that, you can pretty much guess what he's all about, and you would be right. George specializes in selling items that can be used to upgrade our fishing rod, and let me tell you, we really need those items. Why, you ask? Well, because in this game, the grade of your fishing rod is going to correlate directly with the grade of the fish you can catch. And let's face it, if we want to reel in the big ones, we've got to keep leveling up that fishing rod. It's a catted fish world out there, and we have got to stay ahead of the curve. Apart from those three, we also come across Outfitter's Cat and his fashionable cardigan, along with Jeepers the bait vendor. And if that's not enough excitement for you, it turns out we can even customize our cat looks again at Stylish Shasha's house. So, if you are feeling a bit uncomfortable in your own fur or just in need of a serious pattern change, don't hesitate to pay her a visit. Because who says cats can't have a little personal makeover session now and then, right? And yes, I still want to produce as many cat puns as I can, so please, bear with me. As I stroll around Herbal Heaven more, I find myself accidentally picking up quests left and right, and accidentally managed to complete one of them. Remember that bracelet we picked up earlier? Well, it turns out it belongs to a cat named Willow. A quick chat with her confirms that she's the rightful owner of the bracelet, and while I'm all for starting another fantasy franchise, Lord of the Bracelet does not quite have the same ring to it. So, I figured it would be best to do the right thing and just return the bracelet to Willow. After all, I've got enough on my cat bulls already without adding a legal battle over jewelry to the mix. Another quest that we accidentally pick up on the way comes from Old Bolt. He's got a hankering for a boldfish and he's looking to me to reel one in for him. Now, I did not remember this little detail during the stream, but upon closer inspection, I realized that the fish he's after is the very same one we caught during our tutorial, which, mind you, happens in the middle of the lake. And I'm not looking forward to repeating another drowning accident, so we will also hold on to that quest for now. What I'm not looking forward to as well is another KO moment with me being crunched for the second time like a Coco Crunch by Root Cruncher. So, after accidentally arriving at the Spear Dojo during our search for the really hard to find mayor, I decided to walk up to the dojo meowster himself, Sensei Eve. Did you think I'm over my cat's pun? Of course not. I told him that I need to pull an attack on Root Cruncher, and I think he might have sensed that I'm one of those poor souls who's fallen victim to those duty terrors and miraculously managed to come back to life. Because without skipping a beat, he agreed to lend me a spear. And if you were starting to wonder whether or not this is a cozy game, well, Sensei Eve proved that this is a cozy game through and through because he instructed us to get cozy with Root Crunchers by taking down a training dummy that looks suspiciously like a real-life Root Cruncher. Not only that, but after some stop and spit, imaginary of course, Sensei Eve told me to take on the real deal as well. Honestly, I don't understand where he manages to get the idea that I'm ready to face my first living, breathing, biting Root Cruncher. I mean, I'm about as ready to face Root Cruncher as a fish is ready to climb a tree. Maybe he's got a secret plan to toughen me up, or maybe he gets satisfaction from sending people to meet their demise in the mouth of Root Cruncher. Just like how you feel after you've dragged your friend to play Phasmophobia and hear their blood-curdling scream after they get jump-scared for the first time. Sensei Eve told us to bring him 4 living roots, and let's hope that we can get that living roots without dying in the process, shall we? At the same time, this is actually a perfect opportunity to retrieve Fisher Gigi's note as well, so might as well hit 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Or, in our case, catch 2 fish with 1 root? Also, I have a confession to make because although I may have made a lot of jokes with you right now, the reality of what happened during the stream is very far from it. If you tune into the stream, you would think you stumbled upon a horror movie marathon with how much I was screaming, crying, bawling like a newborn baby. It was a non-stop roller coaster of terror with me running back and forth, screaming my head off, and trying not to get chomped on by those pesky root crunchers. Not to mention that in the process, I also had to look for Fisher Gigi's notes, and trying to find them amidst the chaos was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Come on, Gigi, why do you have to scatter them so far from each other? If this keeps up, this will not be a Gigi, this will be an Andy. Oh, and let's not forget the moment when I let out the highest scream known to catkind as I fell victim to yet another root cruncher ambush. Before letting out a laugh that I'm not even sure myself if it's a happy laugh or a sad laugh toward my impending doom. I think it's both. And just when I thought that this plant versus cat era is finally over, I got another reason to let out a scream. Albeit this time, it was a scream of joy. Are you wondering why? Because right after all that chaos, I got my very first Twitch subscriber. Talk about timing, I had just hit Twitch affiliate status the day before I started streaming Whisker Waters, so you can imagine my excitement. And yes, huge shout out to Glacy for being my first ever subscriber. I promise to make your subscription worth every meowman. Or not, if I keep spewing cat puns. I really need to tone down on that. After showering Glacy with thanks for the subscription, I got back to business and handed over the living roots to Sensei Eve, who seemed pretty pleased with my root cruncher vanquishing efforts. Or screams. I bet you can hear it. My scream is so loud. Then it was off to Fisher Gigi to deliver her precious notes. Did she thank me profusely and offer up heaps of gratitude? Well, not exactly. She did share her note about a fish called Phitropolis with me, but she doesn't offer you a nice set of emotes to use and badges beside your name, unlike my subscription. So, if you are looking for cute emotes and badges, consider subscribing to my Twitch to get that. Because let's be honest, who doesn't love some adorable emotes to spam in the chat? I'm sorry for the self-promotion. And speaking about Phitropolis, I did already get acquainted with sagefish, but unfortunately I still can't catch one for myself. Turns out my stamina levels weren't quite up to par for the tug-of-war battle with that stubborn yellow fish. It wasn't until I got my fishing rod upgraded that I could stand a chance against those strong yellow fish. And if you were wondering if it's worth it to pick a fight with a Phitropolis, then it is. Spoiler alert, the fish shells for 30 scales, so it's obviously worth a lot for my current poor cat self. Gotta catch them all, even if it means risking a paw or two in the process. And as luck would have it, just as we were strolling back with our shiny new fishing rod, I saw a face that I have been looking for all these times I was in herbal heaven. It's the one and only Mayor Roy. Honestly, I think he should be named Main Character Roy instead of Mayor Roy since he is so fashionably late. It's like he knew all the other side quests had been wrapped up and now it was his turn to make my cat life difficult. Talk about timing, Mayor Roy. However, what we thought is a bad timing, for Mayor Roy is a good timing, since he wants the town to grow even more and in his eyes, I look like a great cat-shaped donation box. So, off I go, traipsing around Herbal Heaven once again, collecting suggestions from the town's residents like some kind of Valiant census taker. Along the way, I crossed paths with Chef Tom, who had an interesting proposition. He needed a helping paw with his menu experiment and presented me with 3 options: Chowder Surprise, Maryland Melody, and Glazed Tilapia. Now, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but my friend Nemo has a fondness for tilapia, so of course, I opted for Glazed Tilapia. After all, who am I to deny Nemo their favorite fishy delight? After that, I continued on my merry way collecting the town's cat suggestions. First up was Fisher Shadow, eager to have a nearby dock open so he could moor his boat hassle-free. Then to Molly the Builder, who fully supported Mayor Roy's decision. However, she informed us that due to the presence of stinger gnats, Herbal Heaven cannot be expanded currently. What is a stinger gnat, you ask? Well, I'm just as clueless as you are, but they sound like the kind of pest who would crash a picnic and steal your sandwich. And lastly, we met Wally, a newcomer to town like us who had to set up camp on the outskirts due to the lack of space. And camping near Herbal Heaven is like setting up camp in a horror movie, especially with all those root crunchers prowling around. Scratch that. More like a horror thriller movie. Very scary. And what is even more scary though, is how Mayor Roy seemingly popped out of thin air just as we wrap up our conversation with Wally. It was as if he had a sixth sense for the perfect timing to mess up a cat's life. Because yes, as some of you might have guessed, he got even more quests prepared for us. Mayor Roy asked us to go check out the places mentioned in the suggestions, claiming he had too much on his plate to handle it himself. Which is a lie, of course, since he had been doing catwalks around town like he is one of those Paris Fashion Week models. Last one, I promise, last cat pun. Anyway, I was a bit at a loss of what to do for a moment at that time, since it's proving to be quite the challenge to locate the places mentioned in the suggestion. Glancing at the map, I initially thought Fisher Shadow's dock was up north, but navigating there is like trying to coax your cat to take a bath. And without Google Maps to lend a paw, I can't exactly figure out the way to get there nor the 2 other suggested places. Last pun, I promise, last pun. With Mayor Roy's quest seemingly sending me on a wild goose chase, I decided to focus on Chef Tom's order first. His request involves food, after all, and who can resist a delicious meal? Not me, of course. So, leaving Herbal Heaven behind, I returned to Catnip Cove to get myself those fishes that Chef Tom's needed. Wait, did I already mention how much I adore how Underbite Games has a knack for naming their locals after cat terms? I love it. As soon as we returned to the beach, I was shocked when I saw that Models is nowhere to be found. His boat, though, is still there and was caught spinning inside a whirlpool, and in my frenzied panic state, I had assumed that Models was drowning in that same whirlpool. So after fetching the boat, I plunged headfirst into the water. And let me tell you, I completely forgot the fact that I myself am a cat and have a huge aquatic incompetence that could result in me joining Models for a totally unplanned drowning party. Thankfully, the water wasn't too deep, and it turns out Models was never in that whirlpool to begin with. It was a relief once I left the beach, only to see him standing further down the road, clueless but safe and sound. I mean, I'm safe from Miss May's tears and anger that I will surely receive if I had to be the one to tell her that her son, her brother, her niece, whoever Models is to her, had thrown in the lake because he didn't go back home immediately. Talking with him will bring up his request for us to bring him his boat, and despite how his request makes me want to toss him into the whirlpool myself, since I already took his boat with me, I decided to hand it over before continuing on my journey. And now, I'm not going to fish for Chef Tom's order just yet. I have another boat that I want to get to. For this specific boat though, it's not as simple as casting your bobber into the water and reeling it back in. It demands a close and cozy encounter with Root Cruncher once again. So after more screams and more stabbings, I finally arrive at the shipwreck, or rather, the broken boat, as Other Pepper Tidbit likes to describe it. And just as Other Pepper Tidbit mentioned, the boat does require numerous components to restore it to its former glory. After some exploration around the area, I managed to retrieve a few necessary parts and some new materials, although I'm still unsure about how we can get this boat working again. But until we have all the necessary parts ready, there is not much we can do about it at the moment. Also, one more detail that seems pretty clear at this point is how Underbite Games intentionally arrange for root crunchers not to respawn unless certain conditions are met. I'm not entirely clear on what will make them pop back into existence, but so far, during my journey to visit this glorified shipwreck, even after it took me an eternity and 3 movies with 3 hours runtime to return from the way I came, those root crunchers remain conspicuously absent. And looking back, it's just like when I set out to retrieve Fisher Gigi's notes. The root crunchers only spring back into action after I've completed my note gathering mission and beat the area farewell. So yes, thank you so much Underbite Games. You have managed to make this game a little less Souls-like and more I-like. GG and well played. After that, it's just me fishing for 2 straw tilapia and a dessert fish and handing them over to Chef Tom. He asked us if we are willing to help him with 2 other dishes he's experimenting on, but I think I will save that for another day and another stream. Before wrapping up the stream though, I figured I would have one last tug of war with Filtropolis, and after successfully reeling it in, that's where I decided to end the stream. And with that, we come to the end of my stream diary for Whisker Waters. It's been a perfectly delightful time exploring the whisker-filled world of Whisker Waters. And if you want to join me for more adventures, more fun, and more chill time, you are very welcome to visit me on Twitch. I'll be waiting for you to come and join in on the fun. And if you are curious and want to relive the full experience of my Whisker Water stream, just head to the video description where you will find a link to the stream archive. There, you will also find a link in the description that will take you straight to the Whisker Waters Steam store page if you are interested in becoming a cat yourself. Also, if you enjoyed this type of content and want to see more of my stream diary, be sure to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comment down below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated on all my latest stream diaries. Lastly, a big thank you once again to the publishers of this game, Merge Games and Maximum Entertainment, for the opportunity to cover Whisker Waters. And of course, a huge thanks as well to Underbite Games for their dedication and creativity in bringing this delightful game to life. Wishing best of luck and success to Whisker Waters going ahead. Sorry everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.